Thank you so much for inviting me to share today with my beautiful comrades. I'm shocked by how many people ask me, how did we get here to this frightening moment we are currently living in? The answer, imperialism and capitalism, which I call the war economy, that exists on a bed of lies, myths, and propaganda. The same imperialism and capitalism is set on a war to destroy China that has emerged from these 80 years as vibrant, growing, serving their people, and peace on the planet, the peace that the people across the world long for. So I think it's incumbent on us to expose the truths about how we got here, the dark underbelly of imperialism that is purposely hidden. Today, I want to share 3 graphs that I found most shocking in this enlightening piece that is soon to be published in the Tricontinental on the 80th anniversary of the global war to end fascism. 3 graphs that destroy imperial mythology. So, any
I'll
luck?
share them now. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
So the first one is
Figure 3. So this is, figure 3 is called the Western Calculations on the Relative Value of Life. This chart exposes the racial calculus of American aid during humanity's supposed good war against evil. Look at the numbers. The United States distributed $50.1 billion in land lease aid. Of the $31.4 billion allocated to the British Empire, 85% went to 58.3 million whites, while 443 million colonial subjects received scraps. The mathematics of racism. Whites comprised 11% of the British Empire's population, but received 85% of the aid. The per capita calculation destroys any pretense of fighting for freedom. Each white person in Britain, Australia, and New Zealand received $442. Each person in China, British India, and Ceylon received 4.40 cents. That's a 101-to-1 ratio. The US valued white lives at 100 times the value of Asian lives, not as rhetoric, but as budget line items, signed by Roosevelt, approved by Congress, documented in ledgers. But the death valuation reveals even deeper atrocity. Take total aid and divide by deaths. Each white death was valued at $52,900 in American aid. Each Chinese or Indian death, $161. That is a 329-to-1 ratio. Washington calculated that 329 Chinese lives equaled 1 British life. China fought Japan alone from 1931 to 1941, 10 years, while America sold Japan their oil and steel. And I mean almost all their oil and steel. When the US finally entered, China received $1.6 billion total. After defeating Japan, the US gave Chiang Kai-shek $3 billion to fight communists, double what China received to fight fascism. The formula was mathematical: minimal help against Japan, maximum support against communism. That wasn't oversight, that was policy. The same Roosevelt who proclaimed the 4 freedoms calculated freedom's value by race. The same America that called itself democracy's arsenal armed whites and abandoned Asians. Every dollar documented the strategy: preserve white strength, let Asians bleed, then claim victory. These aren't interpretations. These are Treasury Department numbers, congressional appropriations, the hierarchy of American liberation documented in its own accounting. Could we turn to the next slide, 5? So figure 5 is who paid the price, the death distribution. This single chart destroys 70 years of Western propaganda against who won the war. The global distribution of death, Soviet Union and China, 61.9% of all deaths. The colonial world, 11%. The US and Britain combined, 1.5%. Let those percentages burn into your memory. For every American or British death, 41 Soviets and Chinese died. For every Western casualty, 7 colonial subjects perished. The deployment pattern tells the story. By June 1941, Germany had committed 151 divisions, 73% of total Weimar strength, to invading Soviet Union. The Red Army faced and destroyed this unprecedented force. At Stalingrad alone, the Soviets eliminated an entire German army group. At Kirks, they broke the Weimar offensive capacity forever. By the time D-Day arrived, 730 days after the promised date, the Red Army had already destroyed 607 German divisions, while the Western Allies faced only 176. In Asia, China tied down 60% of Japanese land forces and 95% of puppet troops through 14 years of resistance. Every Chinese soldier holding a position with obsolete weapons prevented a Japanese soldier from attacking elsewhere. The Chinese communist base areas alone engaged more Chinese forces than the entire US Pacific campaign. The wounded vanish from Western history entirely. 13 to 18 million Soviets wounded, ignored. 11 to 26 million Chinese wounded, erased. When a Western soldier is wounded, it is a casualty worthy of remembrance. When tens of million Asians are maimed, they disappear from history like they never existed. But here's what the percentages means. Socialist forces with less than 8% of world GDP destroyed 80% of fascist military power. The capitalist powers with 30% of world GDP preserved their strength while they let others bleed. This wasn't unfortunate timing. This was the strategy. Let fascism and communism destroy each other, then claim victory from the corpses. 27 million Soviets dead, 14% of their population. 24 million Chinese dead. 415,000 Americans, 0.3% of the population. The arithmetic convicts. Maximum sacrifice by those with least. Maximum preservation by those with most. So if I could have the next slide, figure 9, please. And these will be coming out in Tricontinental. I know there's a lot to study here, but I think these speak to this moment. So figure 9 is the arithmetic of erasure, Korea. And this whole article started with me returning from North Korea with numbers that I'd never heard before. So, which is where China had to go fight. This table, and also Mao lose his son, just to say. This table documents how the anti-fascist war seamlessly became anti-communist genocide. 5 years, that's all. From defeating fascism in 1945 to incinerating Korea in 1950. The same B-29s that firebombed Tokyo were dropping napalm on Korean villages. The same generals who liberated Asia were now destroying it. Look at the scale. Between 1.5 and 3 million North Koreans dead, 15 to 31% of pre-war population. General Curtis LeMay's exact words, "We burned down every town in North Korea." Killed off, what, 20% of the population, he said? He said 20%. Korean sources document 30%. When you kill a third of a nation, we have a word for that. It's genocide. The US dropped 635 tons of bombs and 32,000 tons of napalm on a country the size of Pennsylvania. More explosive power than the entire Pacific theater of World War II. Against a nation that never attacked America, against a people whose crime was choosing socialist reunification over capitalist partition. MacArthur himself vomited when surveying the destruction. His words, "I have never seen such devastation. Those thousands of women and children, it curdled my stomach." The architect of slaughter, sickened by his own work, it continued. 18 of 22 major North Korean cities obliterated, destruction ranging from 65% to 100%. With napalm, there's no wounded. Flesh melts, lungs sear, everyone dies. The conventional bombing created countless more casualties, crushed under rubble, orphaned, starving. Where are we seeing that right now? Where are we seeing this played out right now? Yet, no nation in modern history has suffered such concentrated destruction and 30% of the population. The comparison reveals the pattern. World War II, 3% of humanity dead. Korea, up to 31% of North Korea dead. Vietnam, 3.1 million dead. 58,000 Americans, a 53 to 1% ratio. The formula never changes. Japan surrendered in 1945. By 1950, the US was committing genocide in Korea. No pause, no peace dividend. The killing never stopped. It just changed targets. From fascists to communists, from Germans and Japanese to Koreans and Chinese. The same weapons, the same generals, the same lies about liberation. This is what these numbers document. The world anti-fascist war never ended. It morphed seamlessly into a permanent war against any nation choosing socialist development. The real enemy was never fascism. Fascism was capitalism's emergency response to a socialist threat. The real enemy was always socialism itself. China is not our enemy. Thank you.
I'm Michael Hudson. I'm appearing here for the International Manifesto Group. If you like this video and ones like it, please subscribe. For more information, go to the address on the screen.